first, this is trial and error. I mean, Ed added it in trial and success but I personally go by trial and error because I just try a bunch of different things and see what works. And today is going to be more of a discussion to see stuff that other teachers are using, and we're going to take it from there. This is all about sharing your trials and errors. So my first one is I'll give an example of the first time I ever used Breakout Room. I had no clue about it, just tried it, and I was using it in my basic life support class. And since the hybrid method, it's kind of hard to practice with kids distant learning with the mannequins. I put everybody in a breakout room. I dragged everyone into the main call. And then with the kids that were in school, I basically made them the leaders of the group so that there was like two or one kid that was a leader in school. And then I dragged out of school kids into each one of those breakout rooms. And honestly, I just tried it, didn't know it was going to work. And that one just happened to work. And they were teaching the kids the different parts of the CPR and the AED and the back valve mask and all that stuff. So it ended up working. That's just one of those successes. So if anyone would like to share one of their successes or their errors, that would be awesome. Anybody? Yes, no, maybe?
Well, I think I've been learning. Well, I have a lot of distant learners right now, and I'm learning. There's a lot of apps out there that show you how to do math problems. So having distant learners and trying to assess them, you're learning really quick, like, and they're cheating, and they're cheating, and that one's cheating. And so I've been trial and erroring over time in adjusting the types of questions I ask. And even just my directions, I've realized I have to say, to receive full credit, you must show your work in a method I have taught you in class. And just different, and just certain types of problems, adjusting how I give it so that the PhotoMath app won't give them an answer. They have to manipulate it differently. So trial and error. After the one class, the first assessment, I had 8 obvious cheaters out of 16. So that was a backtrack and a connect and touch base. But I think I'm starting to be a little bit more crafty, and my goal is just to be one step above them. The apps are on my phone now to help me know a little quicker. So just a thought.
No, that's a good one. I like that. I actually go to the kids a lot just to figure out what they know and what they don't know and the stuff that they're using, because actually that's going to teach me a lot. So that's good. Anyone else?
To piggyback off of that, in terms of like assessment, I'm trying this week. They're due on Friday, so I'll get back to you. But okay. I'm trying a Screencastify where they're using, because they're learning about protons, neutrons, and electrons. So obviously you can just look up on the internet, like how many protons are in neon or whatever. So I'm having them use a PhET simulation to explain. They're going to like Screencastify the PhET simulation about them like placing protons, neutrons, and electrons in a certain spot and explain why they're putting them there. So they have like a whole rubric on what they need to explain. And I told them, you can record it as many times as you want. You can take as long as you want on it. And I figured in that aspect, like if they're recording it multiple times, that means they're just learning it multiple times until they find that like perfect one that they want to submit for me. So that could work for like pretty much any subject, I feel like, where you have to videotape yourself explaining something. So you can't just like look it up right away. And even if you do look it up, you still need to put it in your own words to explain it to you as a teacher. It takes a long time to grade, though. That's the only issue.
That is the thing. So, but I don't know if you went to the one that Haley Ellinger just put out, but there you can do a rubric from Google Classroom. And it's right in your Google Classroom, and you can grades don't go directly into PowerSchool, but it might make things a little bit easier. So you might want to look up the recording on the rubric in Google Classroom to help you out with that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share anything?
I want to second the use of the rubrics through Classroom. It saves so much time. You can set up your criteria right in Classroom, and then you can reuse that rubric in your other classrooms. But if you have like a 4, 3, 2, 1 scale, just right in their assignment, you just like click the 4, or you just click the 2, and then it just applies all that rubric language. It makes grading very, very fast, and because it's right there attached to the assignment, they see it. Nicole, when I've had students turn in work that was screencast, again, like as evidence of their thinking, I give them a time limit. So I'll be like, you have 1 minute max. And if you hit 1 minute, I stop and I won't listen to any more, just because it takes me so much longer to listen to a screencast than it does to read what they wrote.
That's a good point. Good. Anyone else share into success or not, or even an error?
So maybe people can help me with this. I'm not using as much technology, obviously, because I'm not really presenting much, but I so I typically meet with my resource kids like more individually, but I tried a whole group one 2 weeks ago, and then I tried to put them in breakout rooms, but I cannot figure out, like, if a kid is not already in the Google Meet when I start breakout rooms, they can't get in the Google Meet. I had some kids who were trying to join late, and then I couldn't figure out how to, I kicked them all out of the Meet trying to get back to the main room. So I don't know do you know if once you start the breakout rooms, nobody else can join that main room?
Well, I think they can join once they start,
Okay.
but sometimes it just takes a little bit longer for them to come in. You'll see the circle thing going around.
Okay.
And then, but honestly, if you let them come in and drag them into the main call and then bring them back down into whatever class or whatever breakout room, that's fine. But the only time you can close out the whole room is when you says close out the whole room, not even when you hit the X. That's to say close out the breakout rooms.
Okay.
So I don't know if that helps or not, but does anyone have anything else on the breakout rooms for Google? I've only used it like 5-6 times, so I'm still pretty much a rookie at it too.
So I was going to give a tip that Becky Coriali gave earlier in one of the rooms that we were in with breakout rooms. It, like, if you tell them to come back to the main room, they have to see it on their screen. But if they're working like on another platform of something on their computer, they won't see it. So then you're having to like go into each room and say like, hey, come back. Hey, like I had a disaster day that I'll do a breakout room at the end of the class part and they can sign out when they're done. But it was a day that they had to just do it. And then I was sending them all back, but then no one was coming back and I was trying to give instruction. It was just stupid. But on GoGuardian, there's like a megaphone piece like that you can, blare out, like you can put an announcement in GoGuardian and it actually puts it in the center of their screen and they have to click off of it. So whatever they're on, it will show for everybody. And I hadn't realized that would do that. But so Becky will just tell everyone on GoGuardian, come back to the main room. And then it helps them to know that the breakout room's done. So, and she said it also helps her to know who is actually not on their computer, because then it just stays on their screen forever and they never click off of it. And so
I use the poll feature to do that. I use breakout rooms every day as a language teacher. I will send out a poll around the time that we're supposed to finish saying, do you need more time? Yes or no. It'll ping on their screen. They can answer it and send it back to me, and I get a real live feed of who's ready to move on and who's not.
That's a good point. The poll. I like that one.
So if you use a poll in the breakout room, it will do it you can send it from the main room and it will go to all of the other
Correct.
breakout rooms?
Yep.
Okay. I couldn't figure out any way to communicate with the breakout rooms.
That's how I've been doing it, just setting a deadline for it and saying, I will send out more information if I feel like the pacing is not working and we need more time.
The deadline thing is important too. I like that. It's saying we're going to meet back here in 10 minutes, or I'm closing it out in 10 minutes, or whatever it is. The deadline's good. Anyone have anything else? I mean, we're flying through this, but if you don't have anything else to share, I do have one other talking point. Is there anything anyone wants that hasn't tried or tried only once or twice they want to try in the future, like over the next week, 2 weeks, month or so? Anything they saw today they might want to try?
I've done Jamboards a little bit, but not very much. And after hearing a few more things today, it makes me feel like I need to figure out that I think that will be a way that I can get my kids collaborating a little bit more. So,
does anyone have any experience with Jamboards? Because I don't have experience with Jamboards.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Would you care sharing?
Sure. I mean, it's essentially a collaborative whiteboard. I will have students, we can do a whole class brainstorm activity where I make them write their name on the sticky note and jot down their ideas, just kind of a brainstorming. Thursday, Friday, I have an activity where I already put them in pairs. So they're going to be speaking in the breakout rooms. I'm going to bring them back. And then they already have their own individual slide. Each pair is responsible to draw something because there's a bunch of drawing features on there. And then we're going to go through each slide individually. And as a class, we're going to do interpretive writing based on what they think they can see as a whole class going group by group.
Nice. I'm gonna have to try those. I might have to try that Jamboard thing. That's cool. Anyone else that want to try anything, or they want to share any unsuccessful things?
I'm sharing too much. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's awesome.
I've had non-success. I'm trying to get to know them, and it's really hard whenever they're all sitting at home and you see their forehead or their ceiling, and when you say everyone type in the chat something like, and then they just don't, and then you're like, I'm a loser because I've tried trivia questions at the beginning, and then no one does. Like they just don't. If I do Kahoots, like a Kahoot or a quizzes where we're doing stuff about what our material is, and then I throw a question in there that asks them about something, then they all engage, and then we can have a dialogue. But if I just try to cold do it, then I just look like an idiot. And if my children at home are embarrassed, like because they're teenagers, so they're like, why would you do that? You should never ask your class though, like they think I'm like the big who knows what. But if I embed it in something else we're doing, then they tend to open up more because they're more engaged always, ready, better than like cold engagement or something.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other engagement things? Because honestly, like sometimes I have a lot of problems with kids' engagement. In one class, I have kids that's going to talk all the time, and in my next class, all my kids are not talking at all. Does anyone have any engagement things that they'd like to share? Go ahead.
I can share. So what I did in the first week of school was I created an interest survey. And I sent it to every one of my kids in all my classes, and there was a whole range of questions. Just anything from like what their favorite sport is, to their favorite music, to their favorite food, you name it. And so what I have been doing is I've been going back and revisiting those survey answers. And then the other thing I've noticed I'm getting some success with, the in-class learners, sometimes they come early. Right. And so I purposefully will use the survey information to strike up a conversation with them before class starts. And I'm purposefully, deliberately doing that with those kids. So that way that relationship can get built more. And then that allows me then to kind of talk with them even on the days that they're at home and just really try to engage them in kind of almost like at first non-school related things. Just that way, that relationship can get built. And then even during class, if something comes up that relates to something on a personal level, I'll kind of disengage from the instruction, and I'll have a brief conversation about something that is engaging me as a person, and then let them kind of share, and all of those things are helping. I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and seeing in terms of getting them to engage with me.
I like that. Now, do you feel that the kids that are hybrid are more engaged when they're out of school than they're all distance learners?
No.
No?
I have a hard time. I feel like when the kids, my hybrid learners are actually in front of me, I feel like I ignore them a little. Like, ignore is not the right word, but I feel like I'm still looking at the computer, and then so I feel like the distance learner kids actually probably get more of my attention because I'm constantly trying to look here. And then I do feel like the in-person learners are a little bit less engaged. But they're very quiet. They're like, I still think they're not used to how quiet this building is and how weird it is to be in corners and separated in a room.
Yeah.
But I wonder, are you guys finding are the same kids disengaged each period, or is it just depends on the day in the class?
I would say sometimes it's some of the same kids, and then every once in a while you're going to have the kids just not having a good day, or they're just tired or whatever. But I would say it's a lot of the same kids on my end. Anyone else? Yeah.
I'm wondering, as a school, I don't know how to approach that, but if it's the same kids we're finding, same group of kids are not engaged, how we can, as a whole building team or as a 8-period team of a kid, work on engaging them.
Yeah, that's
That's a huge
Yeah,
undertaking.
my pay grade.
I know. I know.
Yeah, but those are some of the things that we definitely need to work on. I do find though that like when the kids at home, the kids, the distance learners, when there's kids that are more engaged at home, it actually makes the other kids, like the hybrid learners and the kids are like, makes everyone else more participate more. It gets contagious. And then when everyone's silent, that gets contagious as well. I find that. I don't know. Did anyone else find that? Yeah. All right.
Some kids will engage a lot in GoGuardian when it's private one-on-one, but then they won't engage through the Google Meet.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure, I mean, I am grateful that they're engaging in some way, but like whenever we're working on something and I have 5 of them trying to ask me the same question privately, it's like, hey, I think so I've been trying to do a lot more praise of the kids who are putting stuff out in the Meet and who are willing to ask questions, because they're tending to ask the same kind of questions. But I think the more kids we can get to feeling comfortable there, it's just that whole building an environment that's really hard to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have hall monitor duty and I walk around and it's quiet. It's different and it's quiet. It's weird, but hey, it's what we're dealing with. Before we end, because we got about 50 minutes, but I know that one thing I want to do is, Keith, I might come to you because I definitely want to try that Jamboard thing. That looks pretty cool. Is there anyone else that wants to try something that they heard about, whatever, so that we can all try to try new things, help these kids become more engaged?
Something that's really, really easy is the Insert Learning extension. So if you ever wanted to have your students read an article, you just embed a question, but to make it collaborative, you could embed a discussion question. So like every student sees that one article and they see each other's answers. So like if I post an article, maybe post 5 questions, I'll say pick 2 to answer. So you don't have like one question with 20 answers underneath. But I know that's not like verbally collaborating and all of that, but it is a way to see collaboration. Keith, I was wondering if you don't mind explaining. So when you have students in a breakout room and working on a Jamboard, what does that look like on their screen? How does that show up?
Yeah, so what's great about breakout rooms is when you pair the students up, and I do probably 95% of the time just 2 students in a pair. They are able to have their own private chat and they can share their screens with each other. So I'll have one of the students share their screen so they can work back and forth. Some of the kids who don't like to talk, they can just type in the chat and I'll drop in, I'll hear nothing, and I'll see a conversation going back and forth in Spanish, which is great.
Yeah, so I use breakout rooms a lot as well. I'm just curious about when you're having them also work on a jam, is it like, does one person have to share the screen, or do they not even have to because they're sharing the Jamboard? How does
if there's questions that I embed in the Jamboard, they share it. If not, they can just go between the tabs.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, Kristen, I have a question. Can you do a breakout room with the Insert Learning thing, or does that have to be a whole class type of thing?
So the Insert Learning, that would be if you wanted them to give them an asynchronous assignment. Hey, read this article and respond to 2 questions.
Yep.
The Insert Learning makes the it makes the assignment and you post it to Google Classroom. Students would just click on that link, it brings them to the article, and everyone's working off that same article assignment.
Okay.
So if you're the 5th person to start your homework, you'll see that students 1, 2, 3, and 4 have already answered and you see their answers. And with the Insert Learning, you can embed a video and pair it with the article. You can put in an image. It's really easy. It's really easy to grade from too, but it is just a little sense of collaboration because you can see other student work. So I like to do that, not through a breakout room. That would be an asynchronous activity that also gives some collaboration.
Okay.
And it's very easy, very, very easy.
That's what Mark did today, right?
I think so. Yeah, I know he uses it.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's the whiteboard by thing?
Whiteboard.fi, it's a website that you can go to, and it can give each of your students a virtual whiteboard. And you can see all of their whiteboards on your screen. So you can kind of ask questions. So I use small whiteboards all the time when we were in person, but you know, this is the definition, what's the vocabulary word, write it on your board. They can draw something. You can present certain students' boards. Just a way to get that back and forth going, and everyone gets a chance to participate without anyone seeing or hearing them.
So that helps the shy student as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Do you have a problem with that app being really, really slow?
Yes,
Okay.
Sometimes I do. Like I've had points where I've erased all of their boards and then it accidentally erased like 20 seconds later and they're in the middle of something. But it does get laggy sometimes.
Yeah, that was my biggest issue with it, was that it was so slow. But
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can bring up with tech too, but I know that they're pretty busy right now, the IT department. So anyone else have anything else they used or want to try? Or ClassKick also works. Anyone want to explain ClassKick? Because I've never heard of that. I'd love to hear about it.
We use it in math a lot. It's kind of, I mean, there's a text feature, there's a writing on it feature. It's just a whole bunch of different slides. Every kid gets their own, and then the teacher can see in real time who's on which slide, which one, you know, who hasn't done any slides. And you can toggle their names off, so you could put up different kids' work on different things. As a teacher, I can write on their slides. So if I'm having them do different math problems and they can raise their hand on it if they've got a question, and then I can go in and circle where they're making their mistake or whatever.
That's good. Anyone else? Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. I thought today was pretty good. I learned a lot. Hopefully everyone learned a lot. And honestly, I think if, as like Kim was saying, us as teachers, if we just continue to try to help each other and then try to figure out how to get kids more engaged and try these different things, I think this new hybrid method is going to be okay. I think. I don't know. Anyways, anyone else have anything else to share before we what do we got? Did Google Meets for console? Okay. Oh, Jeremy just joined. We're just about to end, Jeremy. Sorry. But if you want to share anything, by all means, we're sharing things that we've used that worked and things we've used that haven't worked, and our trials and successes. If you want to share.
I don't want to. Nick's here, who was in a previous session with me. I've just found that the thing that's worked the best for me is establishing a consistent framework that the kids can expect, and that's the same whether they're here or not, because kids are just leaving in droves and coming in droves. And if I was spending all of my time worried about who was in the room that day and who was not, I'd never be able to plan an effective lesson, right? So by setting up a system that worked well for me, which is kind of an introductory piece to the music that we're working on. The kids at home then go and sing and record it, so they're using their whole class time on choir, and the kids in the room either go outside and sing with me, or weather permitting, or are working on a theory assignment, and then that switches on the other day. So within the span of 1 week, all the kids, whether they're distance, whether they're track A, whether they're track B, are getting the sum total of all that content. So that's what I have found the most effective. And then, you know, all the other tools and things like that software wise that we can tap into, I just drop into that framework. And that's ended up providing me with some functionality that goes beyond my day-to-day issues. So if that works for you guys.
No, that's awesome. And we're talking about some of the things that we may want to try to use in the future that we haven't tried yet, like whether it's different technology, different techniques, whatever it is. So if there's anything you'd like to share there, fine. If not, we're pretty much good to go.
Most of my technology is so music specific.
Yeah,
so.
specific to your content. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally get that.
So if you want to learn how to sing some parts, I have your back.
Hey, no problem. I may have you talk to my son, man, at some point. I know he likes to sing. So, all right, no problem. Thank you. Everyone have a great, I think lunch is up next, so have a great lunch, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.